just wrote this today, and I'm a vegetarian, but I just, here we go. There are some towns known for their food. You got po' boys for New Orleans, you got a Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia, and if you're in New York and you want to carry food around on the street, you better get a pizza slice, fold it in half, and just eat it with one hand. And if you're in Chicago and you can't carry a deep dish pitcher around with you with one hand in the street, you better get a Chicago-style hot dog with mustard, relish, the bright kind, the bright green kind, hot peppers, tomatoes, celery salt, onions, and a pickle on top. And I lived in Chicago all my life, frequented the tops of skyscrapers, visited legendary blues bars, but never, even when I was a meat eater, I never had a Chicago hot dog. Just ketchup, please. I'll take the pickle on the side. I don't even like hot peppers anyway. But as we left the planetarium today, I passed a Chicago-style hot dog vendor cart, and they listed vegetarian hot dogs as a choice for the Chicago hot dog. I passed it. Then I stopped, walked back, asked for a vegetarian Chicago hot dog with everything except hot peppers. And no, ketchup is not included when you say everything. And when I got my paper-wrapped vegetarian Chicago hot dog, I was tempted to pull the pickle away, but they told me no, that's a part of the hot dog. So I put it all together, took a bite, then I took another, and then another, and I thought, man, I've been missing out on this Chicago tradition all my life. I've heard that this actually started in the Depression because it was something cheap, and you can get it in the streets, and it was a full meal. And it had meat, bread, vegetables, and it was all at a reasonable price. And I thought, we Chicagoans have it all figured out with a gooey deep dish pizza when you have the time to sit down, as well to make any hot dog awesome, something that you can always walk down the street and treat yourself with. Woo! Thank you. I wanted to read.
True story?
That just happened today, yes. I've been here all my life, and I'm just like, I need to have a Chicago style hot dog. I do. I'm totally going to have it. And I just, I'm like, I have to do this. So it sounds like a stupid rite of passage. A Chicago hot dog. What? And I'm a vegetarian. There you go.
Try eating 4 of them in a hot dog eating contest at the Taste last year. Have you had a Chicago sandwich?
No.
You need to have them at the Chicago Italian Beef Town.
Well, if they have a vegetarian option, I might consider it. But, and I saw this thing, it said a vegetarian hot dog, and I got a Chicago, I'm like, I should do this. I've never done this, even as a meat eater, I never did this. So that was my little jaunt. And I don't have a title for it, so if any of you guys' ideas, let me know. I was going to read my first, I don't have a pen. My first time should be scribbled on this. That's very good. I have something about like new to Chicago, and it's all about like the first time I've ever, they say things about Chicago, but it's like, when I see that curved building, I just lean up on it, and it always feels like the first time. And I have this whole thing about that with Chicago, but my first time, that's a good one. I like that. I have to remember that. I wanted to read a few pieces from the book Hello's cover before striking, which is in a second printing now with Eric Open Matches. because I was thinking I was going to be having an audio CD release of these, so it'd be awesome if everybody applauds a lot for these, because it'll look like they're important if you do. I have a section in the beginning of the book that talks about violence in America, those kind of things, and so I want to show you a few of those, and this one is first off for me, called Chicago, West Side. She knew who they were coming for. She crouched in front of the window, straddling her chair as she moved from the corner. Her coffee sat on the windowsill, the condensation rising, beating on the window right above at her eye level. She took the side of her index finger periodically and smeared some of the water away to look into the streets. The snow was no longer falling on the west side of Chicago. It just packed itself darker and deeper into the ground with every car that drove over it. The gunshot was still ringing in her ear, still. It was so loud. The earth cried when she pulled that trigger, let out a loud, violent scream. She could still hear it. For these few moments, she had to just stare out the window and wait. She didn't know if she should bother running, if it mattered or not. She couldn't think. All she knew was that this time, when she heard the sirens coming from the streets, she'd know why they were coming. She'd know who they were coming for. And as I said, this book has a bunch of pieces, and I have Violence in America is like the first part of it, and I'm going through some of these pieces, starting from the beginning basically, but there's like happy, lovey pieces about mom, and like when I worked in an ice cream parlor for years. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff in here, but I'm going through, and at the beginning I got my violence ones, so I think, I've got two here. I'm going to start with chess game again. We all watched the case on the news together. The case where a man on a subway train opened fire on passengers in the car. 9 people dead, I think. They caught the man, and they had their trial. And by right, he should have a lawyer appointed to him, but no, he wanted to act as his own attorney. So every day, he would come into the courtroom with his suit, looking professional, and he would question each of the witnesses, the people that survived his shooting. They survived a shooting spree, and now they had to look him in the eye and answer his questions. So what happened then? He would ask, and the woman would answer, I saw you push a woman to the ground, and then your knee was in her back, and you shot her in the back of the head. Can you point out the man that did this? He would ask, and the man would respond, it was you. Some of the witnesses broke down under the emotional strain, and finally he had no further questions, and the judge dismissed the jury to arrive to a verdict. And they found him guilty, and then the judge asked the defendant if he had any last words for the jury. He kept stressing his innocence. He never apologized. The judge told him he was disgusted. He saw no remorse in the killer's eyes. All of the violence we see in the media, all of the court trials that are fed to us through our television sets, our boxes of American dreams, I don't think any of us were prepared for this. How did these people feel when they were faced with a man who had brought them so much pain? How did they feel when they had to quietly sit there and answer his questions when he didn't even say he was sorry? Most of them sat there trying to keep their composure when faced with a man who had lost all control. This twisted tale they were all a pawn in his chess game again. one is short, this one's last. And as I said, these are from the Violence in America series, and the beginning of the book, let us cover before striking. The second, thank you, sorry. Some matches. I got a kick out of that, sorry. This piece is called Arrowhead. You're used to seeing it, you know, people killing each other on the streets. All my friends carry guns. I started carrying knives when I was 8. The blade looked like an arrowhead, and it had a T-shaped handle. It fit between your knuckles and my palm. I was tough for a girl, I guess. I've only killed one person, and it was when I was 14. There's such a mad rush of panic when you finish the job, and then you're running like hell. That's why I'm in this house, you see. They can put me in jail. They've taught me a lot here. At first, I didn't want to get away from it all, from the violence. It was what I knew. It was what I expected. And then someone killed my sister. And I knew what they were all talking about then. I missed her. Suddenly, I knew I made someone else feel that. I learned what guilt and remorse were. And ever since, I've wanted to get out. I should really change this since I can actually talk about happy pieces. It's actually a good book. There's happy stuff in here. This is actually in the Dreams show. This piece is called Realistic Dreams.
A happy poem?
It's not the ultra-violent poem. You'll get a happy one. Damn you with you wanting happy, happy, happy. You'll get it eventually, bitches. What? This one's called Realistic Dreams. I had a dream the other night. My dreams are different from other people's dreams. Other people's dreams aren't realistic, but mine always are. They stay with you longer that way. They make you think they really happened. Recently I had a dream that someone wanted to hurt me. They wanted to hurt me, and they followed me, and they appeared in the same town as me. And one day I was walking down the street corner, and they were just standing there, talking to someone else on the other side of the street. So I panicked, and I turned around and I started running. I ran down the block, dropped what was in my hands off at my house, and I just kept running. I didn't know how far I ran, but where I was, or actually where I was running from. All I can remember is what I was running from. This one was also in another show while I'm doing this anyway, because I could do what we need in life, which is a song, but I think everybody's heard that too much. So I'm going to do this piece, which is called Was Immune. And no, this isn't a happy one. You'll get it eventually. This is called Was Immune. I went to the Outdoor Courtyard today, the first time in I don't know how many years. I used to sit there in the mornings drinking coffee, writing, reading, and he would come up and sit there with me and draw. It's the first time I've been there since he turned on me. I knew him, and I thought he had potential for being a monster, but I held those stories. I had heard all of them before. That he'd stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars in merchandise, been in gangs, drove someone's Mercedes up a cliff, but I thought I was immune to his violence. I thought I could change him. I thought I'd clean up his act. I thought I would be safe alone with him. A thief, an addict, a molester. I knew him, but I thought I was immune to his violence. And now I see all the places, and they make me think of him, and they make me cry. It's weird to read. I'm gonna have to come up with something better. This one is called To Be Different. Everyone was mulling around, making small talk, laughing, having fun, doing all the things that people are supposed to do at a well-executed party. It was his birthday, and there was a ring of people around him. He was glowing with delight. She looked at him from across the room and realized he might have loved her, but he knew nothing about her. She looked down at her dress. It was a strapless red satin dress with sequins bordering the top and the bottom. She suddenly wanted to be wearing her flannel and long underwear, sitting by herself with a book or a newspaper or her thoughts. She just wanted things to be different. As I said, these are things that are supposed to make you think, which is a lot of the violence ones are supposed to do as well as political rants. So that's that. And this one is called Sunrise. And then I'm going to get for another better poem up here. But this poem is called Sunrise. The last time I actually remembered seeing the sunrise was at my junior prom. I was in a car, getting a ride home. All I could think was that the sun was in my eyes and the dress was uncomfortable and that I wanted to get to sleep. But this was different. We just moved into our first apartment together the night before. He made me dinner after pulling dishware and candles out of boxes that were still packed. Dennis called my name, woke me up. Janet, get up. You have to see this. I think it was the most beautiful sunrise that ever existed. I leaned up against the window while he stood behind me with his arms wrapped around me. It felt like he would never let me go. I didn't know this apartment came with a view. I've been reading things from the book Colo's cover before striking, and everybody heard all the depressing ones before, and because our phenomenal feature, Kathleen Schellmeyer, is here. Here I have to read something and make it sound happy. So I've got two really short ones. See if that'll happen. Well, this one, we'll see how this one works. This one is very short and it's called Meant to Be. Every day for 2 years, she thought of him. Every day for 2 years, she woke up thinking he was next to her. Every day, she would open her eyes. She would find nothing. One day, he knocked on her door. I want you to meet my fiancée. This is Marie. It's nice to meet you, Marie. I wish you two the best. Thank you. And this one is called New Vacuum Cleaner. Elizabeth was only 5. She thought she was doing the right thing. She accidentally sucked up the goldfish when she knocked over the aquarium as she was vacuuming the floor. She was going to surprise Mom and Dad with a clean carpet, but now it's covered with aquarium rocks, shattered glass, and fish water. But she had to try to save the fish before she could clean up the mess, so she poured water into the vacuum cleaner to try to give the fish some room and something actually so it could breathe. Now Mom and Dad have to get a new carpet, a new aquarium, and a new vacuum cleaner. Faded Sunset, Ash
That's a
Violet,
risk card.
Enchanted Evening, and Academy Purple.
Oh, nice!
And this is the one that I picked out. I'm like, I'm gonna use all these ones in something skittery. And I have no idea what it means, so I'm going to be as skittery as I can as I read skittery. The violet flowers over my ash. I felt the purple rain as I left the academy. Oh, but I couldn't take it. Enchanted. What was enchanted? As the evening came, I felt the fading sunset because my soul over my ash skidded away.